My question is why, how can this use of chemical weapons be justified if we assume that Russians knew about the use of these weapons and they somehow endorsed Bashar Assad in this criminal affair? Plus, let me also say that Putin takes, or at least he took, personal pride in the implementation of the US-Russian agreement on dealing with the chemical arsenal in Syria back in 2013. He mentioned it many times that, we can work together, we can solve a problem. Russia is a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. So it is very difficult to imagine the reasons compelling enough to push the Kremlin in this direction.
We heard on the Sunday talk shows Rex Tillerson say that Moscow is either complicit or incompetent when it comes to controlling Damascus. What was your reaction when you heard that?
Well, I do not exclude that Damascus was cheating on this issue, like on many other issues. The implementation of the 2013 agreement was controlled by the United Nations, not just by Russia only. But again, if you look at the position of Bashar Assad today, is it so desperate that he has to use nuclear weapons when he knows that basically he does it not just to the United States or to the opposition, but to his major protector, Mr. Putin? I do not know the reaction of Putin to the use of chemical weapons, but if it turns out that it was the Syrian regime that used these weapons, I'm sure that Mr. Putin will never forget it and will never forgive.
Michael Prejin, you agree?
Well, I think if I was a Russian soldier and I was sharing a base with Syrians that were taking munitions out of a chemical storage facility and putting them on an aircraft, I'd be very concerned. I would stay on the other side of the base and hope not to pay attention to it. But it's hard for us to believe that at least the Russian commanders on the ground did not know that Assad was going to use chemical munitions. As far as the messaging goes, a lot of Syrians believe Assad used chemical weapons as a way to tell them, no one cares what I do, and this is what I can get away with. Well, I'm glad the international community has paid attention, but it shouldn't just be a chemical strike that gets our attention. It should be anytime Russia uses white phosphorus or cluster bomb munitions on the civilian populace. Those are both illegal munitions, but once you have the tag of a chemical weapon, that gets everybody's attention. But these barrel bombs, white phosphorus, and other things that are being used against the civilian population should get everyone's attention as well.
But Andrei Kortunov makes a compelling argument there that this is absolutely not in Moscow's interest, this use of sarin gas. Have you thought about this, Michael Prejin?
Yeah, it's not in their interest, and it means that they may not have control over Assad, and it should give us leverage, meaning the international community in the United States, to tell Putin, listen, you can't control this guy. You shouldn't tie your position in Syria to Assad's survival. But what Syrians will also tell you, that it's not just removing Assad from position. You have to remove Assad's family from government. Because if you simply allow Assad to put a proxy in place, then these atrocities will continue, with one exception. Assad won't be held responsible for what he's directing as an outsider. So Russia should distance themselves from Assad.